we are one, ama ni we are wana, utumishi kwa wote, utu missing, CCTV we were watching, racial insecurity na job opportunity ni kama mti ya kibiriti, side moja heavy. Usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini, kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando zina threaten our survival. Media define leadership, na suruke ka front page ina improve leadership. Ambia sa wa Twitter wa hashtag hii ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of inquiry walikula commission bila kutupa ukweli, ni kubaya mpaka kukiwa kuzuri na shindwa nini mbaya. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. Machozi ya perpetrator inaweza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said and nothing will be done. Niko njaa hata si uwe hai shagala bagala, niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu, ala, sitasimama maovu. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza hataki kuuza sera, undugu ni kufana, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Mungu wabariki yao, sio? Nataka tu since niko na mic, acha tu nikimbele mbele hapa, si ndio? Nataka tu mseme kama sisi, sawa? Si ndio? Kutabadilishana nani kama? 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 Mungu awabariki, au sio? Alafu it's my pleasure to introduce the one and only, the President LSK, the amazing Faith Odhiambo wewe. Hey, swag nini? Igwe.
Thank you. Oh.
Hey, go for my left side screen.
Before I speak, first of all, it gives me great courage and enthusiasm to see all who have made their way here today. God bless Kenya. Allow me to first invite some of our partners who are here to stand here and just introduce themselves, who have made this possible. Please, our various partners, make your way here. Then before I speak, I'll invite the Law Society of Kenya Nairobi Chairperson Eric Kivuva to also say a word.
Comrade Power! On behalf of the movement Amnesty International, we salute your courage, we salute your constitutionalism and your fidelity to the rule of law. What we saw was a breakdown in the rule of law. We saw the abuse of state power, and it is this movement that has corrected this moment for the nation and for the world. Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Irungo Houghton, Executive Director, Amnesty International.
Viva, comrades, viva. Viva! More power to the people, more power. Down with police killings, down. Down with police brutality, down. Down. Down with Ruto, down. My name is Happy Olal, the convener, Social Justice Centers Working Group. Tuko hapa, Ruto must go. Thank you.
Some of you will be falling over if you don't sit down. Please take your seats. So I've been asked to also just to acknowledge some of the other people that have helped to put this together. This is a collective effort. There are many organizations that are on the poster, and there are many others that didn't get onto the poster but were in support. Let me acknowledge the International Commission of Jurists, Kenya Section, the Independent Medical Legal Unit, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, a state agency committed to human rights. And to be honest, that is all they have been doing in the last 4 weeks. To the Defenders Coalition, who have protected and supported many of you here and many others. And also lastly, to Happy Olal, but also to the movement of social justice centers that were organizing all over the country to protect the protester. Thank you.
Comrades, power! Comrades, power! Power to the people! My name is Eric Kakemu Kivuva. I serve you as the LSK Chair, Nairobi branch. And I am truly delighted today to be part of this gathering that I can only describe as a gathering of patriots. Because for me, we have been brought together by the unfortunate events happening in our country, but maybe not so fortunate, because for the first time since independence, we will for once describe the country we want for us. We will for once describe the kind of leadership we want for this country. We will for once reset and even describe who a patriot is, because what has been happening is elections in this country has sanitized the worst of criminals, and we call them waheshimiwa. I am so delighted today. 13 years ago, this gentleman, Mr. Julius Owino, aka Giuliani, sang a song called Bahasha ya Ocampo. I don't know kama we remember that song. Niliponea bahasha ya Ocampo, oh, lakini kile naogopa hata zaidi, finger of God ikini point, yule. And I think 13 years later, his prophecy is coming to pass. Walioponea bahasha ya Ocampo, the finger of God has caught up with them. It is now pointing them out and calling them out. But more importantly, we the people should not be an empty rhetoric. It should be that which we live as Kenyans. And in the first verse of that song, Giuliani makes the statement, ndio ujue vitu ziko wrong, pedestrians wanapisha gari kwa zebra crossing kupita. That is the country we've had for the last 13 years, for the last 60 years. But we, the people, must describe the kind of country we want and tell ourselves we will live in a country where the rule of law is supreme and we are all faithful to the rule of law. And fellow patriots, it starts with all of us being considerate to obey the list of things, including giving regard to a zebra crossing, including giving regard to traffic lights. If that is the country we want, we must be part of that change. Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly delighted and even more privileged because I know Madam President will be giving her keynote address, especially on the subject of we, the people. Thank you very much. God bless Kenya. God bless the movement. May we, patriots, keep at it and never relent in seeking for a better country. Thank you. Just before Madam President speaks, I have been informed that those who wish to register their complaints, the desk is just outside there on the left. Madam President, Faith Odhiambo, karibu sana.
Comrades, power. I'm not feeling that power. Comrades, power. Viva. Viva Kenya, viva. Viva. Protect our constitution, viva. Viva. My fellow Kenyans, comrades and colleagues, for decades our country has faced endless spate of unresolved extrajudicial killings associated with political spectrum. I remember Law Society was involved in collecting evidence for the last Mandamano killings. To date, we are still demanding from IPOA, why haven't you tabled that report? Why haven't you held those policemen accountable? Why is the Inspector General of Police still sitting on that chair? We all know about the controversial death of P.O. Gamapinto in February 24th, 1965. Very few will remember January 29th, 1969, where Agwin Skodek, a pioneering Mau Mau lawyer, died in a car crash under mysterious circumstances. The families of Pinto and Agwins have never known justice, and the same fate befell Thomas Joseph Adhiambo Mboya on July 5th, 1969. Have we forgotten J.M. Kariuki on March 2nd, 1975? Where is the truth about Bruce Roy Mackenzie's death on May 24th, 1979? We are here today to stand for justice for victims. We do not want to leave any man behind. The stories of those who came before us, the different regimes, the different decades, are testament that when political stars and fights come to an end, there are bodies that are littered in the streets. There are bodies that are left for our kin to deal with. Yet no one knows justice. No one sees justice for those victims. I would go on until the cows come home. And you will all see that each regime in this country has had its fair share of assassinations in an attempt to eliminate persons perceived to be standing for something that the political class do not want. Killing of innocent Kenyans on the streets started with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta on the dark Saturday of October 25th in 1969, when Jomo's visit to Kisumu turned bloody. We all know how many Kenyans died during the struggle for multi-party democracy under Moi's 24-year rule. Abductions, torture, and painful deaths did not start with this regime. The police have merely inherited the vice from generation to generation. And we are saying, does it stop in this generation? Yes. Does it stop in this generation? Yes. It must end in this generation. No more abductions, no more extrajudicial killings. President Mwai Kibaki presided over the worst tide of killings. We cannot forget about the 2000 and 7, 2008 post-election violence. And we do not ever want to go back there. Uhuru Kenyatta too was no different, because every year the local newspapers reported how many people disappeared mysteriously in the hands of law enforcement agencies. And just when we thought there was a new dawn in this country, new hope, a country where the head of state was brought in the mantra for the young people, a youthful leader, we have seen police disappointing this hope. And we are demanding from the head of state that his promise that there will be no extrajudicial killings in his tenure, in his reign, that he may hold truth to that. At least if for nothing else, let people not die for standing for their beliefs. Let people not be abducted for standing for what they believe is right. And we are still demanding from him to ensure that all those who have been involved are arrested and prosecuted before our courts of law. The civil societies are struggling to put together the data of injured people, both from gunshots, crude weapons, and attempts to follow up on missing persons. We know that there are families that are still reeling in pain and anguish, and yet we want to move forward. We want to move forward, but we want to move forward with justice for everyone. These families should not be struggling with paying medical bills, struggling with fundraising to bury their kin. Yet we have a state, we have a nation that the head of state has committed that they will be held accountable for each and every death, for each and every person who have been injured. I've visited people at Kenyatta National Hospital. Young men and women like you who now will never walk again, they have lost their hands. Where do they start? We cannot move on and forget them. For a nation to grow, we must move on together. And that is what we, the Law Society of Kenya, and coalition of all our partners here today are standing for. We want justice for each and every one of our members in this great country. Fellow Kenyans, today we want us to begin a journey of truth and justice. Today we walk back the hands of time towards tracing the whereabouts of our missing brothers and sisters. Walk with me as we seek justice for our fallen heroes of the leaderless revolution. We are going to ensure that we give our family the hope to wake up every morning knowing that their son or daughter whose remains are buried in graves spread throughout this country are not in vain. To that mother, to that aunt, to that sister, to that father, to that brother looking for their loved ones, please come to us. We have created a network of social and civil rights defenders working together to unravel these mysteries. Let this be the last time that Kenyans will take to the streets in peace, only for trigger-happy policemen to flood the same streets with their blood and walk scot-free. The plan is to set camp at almost every county that experienced police brutality during our protests. I want to raise my greatest appreciation for my different branch chairs all around the country that mobilized their members upon my request and call to go out to the different police stations all around the country. That is why we've been able to make a mark. Each and every one of my branch chairs, my council members, and every lawyer who heeded my request and call are the heroes that I can sing proudly from the Law Society side, coming to defend the rights of Kenyans and fighting against any trumped-up charges, those who have been kept beyond the required period in prisons, and trying to ensure the safety and freedom of all Kenyans who had been arrested. There are so many people out there living in pain inflicted by the police. It could be mental health or just desolation. Please come out. Let our experienced team of experts offer psychosocial support to help you heal. Today we begin here at the historic Ufungamano House. We are coming to you all around the country. The Law Society of Kenya, together with all our partners here, have membership across the country and with the support of our various branches and offices, have remained zealous and steadfast at protecting the Constitution. If we work together in this, then our defenseless families will not shed tears in vain. As a mother and a lawyer, I stand here today with a heavy heart of what we have seen the last few weeks. The numerous calls that I've received, those in distress, even at very wee hours of the morning. It shows to you the waning strength of so many members of the public. Though in fear, some struggling, some in despair, but yet our young generation are still coming out strongly and firmly, affirming that we are standing for accountability, transparency, we are fighting corruption. We want to see a positive change in our government. Those who have been coming out are loyal patriots of this country. They are standing to see a change. They are the same James Orengos and amongst others who came to fight for multi-party democracy. This is a fight against corruption, a fight for accountability, a fight for transparency, which we must embrace as a nation to move forward together. Even in commemorating those of us who are no longer among us, it would be remiss of me not to appreciate each and every one of your zealous, ingenious, persistent, and unified sacrifice for our country. You are ridiculed, underestimated, threatened, and vilified, all in an attempt to break your resolve to reclaim your country. Through it all, you remained peaceful and focused on the noble objective of standing for what is right and what you deserve. Your courage is unparalleled, your patriotism unchallenged, and your unity against all political barriers unprecedented. You are exactly what you think you are. You are the heroes of today. The irrefutable gains of what you people stand for shines a bright ray of hope upon the future of our country. If you do not believe it yet, allow me to confirm to you that you people have achieved what many dreamed of and wished for, but few realized. A weak and unreliable parliament betrayed you, the people who they swore to represent you. Mlianguka now. A punitive tax regime was forced down the throats of Kenyans despite public outcry against the repressive finance bill. Mlianguka nayo. The political elite unified to run Kenya down the rabbit hole of treachery and deceit to deviate you from your resolve to bring change to Kenya. Namely, an ineffective, incompetent, and arrogant cabinet represented impunity and refused to work for the people from whom the power they exercised. And once again, today marks a crucial step in our progressive journey towards real sustainable change for our country. This is the onset of a series of deliberations by sovereign citizens of Kenya to reflect on who, where, and what we are as a country. The preamble to our constitution defines who we are. Article 10 prescribes what we ought to be, and the entirety of our constitution in its brilliant magnificence envisions where we ought to be as a nation. However, time without number, those to whom we have bestowed power and trust to deliver to us the dream of Katiba 2010 have failed us. Tumewapatia lakini wamekataa kuperform. Kenya finds itself in a constitutional moment, one where the people have reclaimed their sovereignty and are ready to rid of any individual, institution, or entity that jeopardizes the well-being of the country and defies constitutional principles. What started as demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024 has spun into a domino effect that gives us an opportunity for change that is ours to lose. Shida zetu zikianguka bado, lazima zimeingia one lege. It is thanks to this realization that the Law Society of Kenya, all our partners and stakeholders have taken the obvious step to join all of you in forging the path on which we want our country set. Thank you for embracing us. Thank you for allowing us to stand with you, and thank you for allowing us to be part of you. My speech was quite long, but I wanted to also highlight that we have seen changes in the Police Service Commission. We have seen so many trainings, but now we are saying we are going to hold you accountable. We are not going to sit and start discussing a way forward for training, better institutions for police. It's time for accountability. It's time that those who have been given power and have abused it to be held accountable. That's why we are here today, to count everyone and ensure no one is left behind. That when we are challenged that who are these people, where were they hurt, which place, we'll be able to table credible evidence as advocates and our different partners, that will be able to put this at the table. That should be part of the discussion. Any dialogue must start with information and telling us these number of people that we have collected, this data, what are you doing about it? And we know that IPOA will be coming today, that IPOA may also take responsibility and take that mantle. We will not allow you to continue to fail us as a people of Kenya. You must also take up your place and hold any police officers that have been identified, have been seen. You can't tell us that you cannot find them, yet our Gen Zs, our millennials, our youth, our fellow Kenyans are able to trace them and to find their details and have shared them with you, but you refuse to do your work. To independent institutions, the judiciary, constitutional commissions, independent offices, and statutory bodies, it is high time you stand up to be counted. People have been killed by police, but IPOA is yet to act. People have been outed for corrupt conduct by the EACC is yet to institute relevant proceedings. The helplessness feigned by our institution is the greatest enabler for the tribulations we face. The hesitation and refusal by proper mandated authorities to take action in the face of subversion of the rule of law and constitutional principles is the reassurance upon which our aggressors act with impunity. Government frustration and refusal to cooperate are in no way, shape, form, or fashion unacceptable excuse. The people are with you, they will support you, they will help you finish the job, but only if you start doing it and doing it well. Na hata nyinyi mkikataa, Wakenya mtafanya nini? Lastly, to the political leadership and elected representatives, there is no honor higher than being chosen by the people to serve your country. That honor requires delicate, deliberate, impartial, and accountable exercise of that authority that is donated to you. Hubris and bravado are vices that have no place in the Kenya of today. The people of Kenya awake to their full authority as the true sovereign, and their realization of the beauty of their unity draws the curtains on divisive ethnic politics that has historically been endemic in this Kenyan's politics. It's time to become leaders, not rulers. It is time to represent and serve the people, not to be demigods desperate for constant praise and worship. It is time to act, not making unyielding promises. Henceforth, contempt for the people will neither go unnoticed nor remain unresolved. Gen Z hii ni tofauti. Gen Z wamegotha. We will not believe, you will not believe. From the Law Society of Kenya and all our partners, we make our solemn understanding that what we have done over the last few weeks have been fueled by the strength we have drawn from your courage. For as long as you stand for what you believe is just, fair, and right before the law, we will stand for you and will fight for you. Join me in this final prayer, the prayer for our forefathers, the prayer of our nation. We say the first stanza of our national anthem in English. O God, of all creation, bless this our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. I pray that God bless you and God bless Kenya.
Better round of applause for Madam President, please. And absolutely, really, really great, the comments and seeing what we have to do today. I'd like to call us back to attention because we have a lot to cover today. My name is James Smart. Allow me to welcome all of you again for the second panel. On this second panel, we have Dr. Willie Mutunga, who's joining us on X-Space, the famous X-Space. All right, let's listen to Dr. Willie Mutunga, former retired Chief Justice. All right, Dr. CJ, please give us your comments.
Gen Z and millennials, thank you very much for what you are doing. There is, I'm in Kabarak actually, and there is a joke going around here, which I think I should tell you. Apparently, the president is going around looking for a general called General Z. And this reminds me of Idi Amin going to the central bank looking for one of the workers who was called foreign exchange, who was never around in Uganda, and they wanted to kill him. So, my comment, there are two comments that I want to make, and I've made them in other spaces. One is that what happened the other day, and I think this has been discussed, so I'm just reinforcing what we have always said for a long time, that the factions that rule Kenya cannot be described in the way we describe them as that there's one, faction that is the lesser evil, and that we have to choose evil. They have come together, they've shown that they are birds of the same political feather, and they have identified themselves as the enemy of the people. And that's progress, because we have we have had for the last 60 years or so the politics of division and the politics of monetization, which you must avoid, at all costs. And you have started a revolution. There's no doubt about that. And we wait and, we hope that you will continue your political demands to emphasize, the concerns of your material interests and needs, education, health, jobs, struggles against foreign domination, housing, everything that is important for your existence. You posters have captured those particular issues in a revolutionary manner. I've loved the calls or the clarion calls which you have called occupations. Even the occupation of IMF, and the World Bank, making that connection between our rulers and our external rulers is very, very, very important if we are going to carry on this revolution to its successful change. So I also want to praise you for breathing life into the Constitution. We have a Constitution that, is fairly progressive, but we gave it to, leaders who find it inconvenient and they don't want to implement it. But you've come to the scene and you're basically saying that you want to exercise our sovereign power directly, and I think that's what is reflected in the various calls for occupations, whether it's the occupation of parliament, occupation of state house, occupation of I guess the judiciary and all the institutions. So these are great clarion calls, and so I just want to finish by again glorifying what you're doing and asking you to keep your eyes on the prize, avoid divisions, because the people you are dealing with or the class you are dealing with, you should never underestimate them. They are geniuses in politics of division, ethnicity, religion, and if that doesn't work, they also got plenty of money to stop this particular movement. So thank you very much. Aluta continua, and victory is certain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, retired Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga, giving us his thoughts. Let's get straight into it and introduce my panel for what we need to do next. Hussein Khalid, please join me on the stage. Irungi Houghton as well, join me on the stage. And Gloria Kimani of LSK Council member, also join me on the stage. A round of applause, please, as they join me on stage. So for this panel, what we'd like to do is we want to capture reflections of what has happened in these last 4 weeks. There's been reported police excesses, there's been disappearance, abductions, illegal arrests, killings, injuries, and that sort of thing. And we haven't spent time as a country to capture exactly what has happened. What does that mean? In essence, are we saying that protesting is an illegal thing in this country? And if it's not, why did we see the reactions that we saw? Let me start with you, Hussein Khalid.
Thank you very much, Smart. And let me first of all congratulate everyone and the entire country. Comrades power! Comrades power! We're doing it, we're changing this country, and moving forward, things will never be the same. So I'll just speak briefly about my experiences on the ground as, a person who has been, visiting families, visiting the sick in hospital. I think there have been gross human rights violations in the last couple of weeks. Many families have suffered, continue to suffer. We have an entire ward at the Kenyatta National Hospital of victims of police excesses, and that's just one hospital. We have many other hospitals in different parts, not just of Nairobi, but of the entire country, that have people who are sick. Up to now, we're still trying to understand the magnitude of the violations that have been meted out on Kenyans. I think in the midst of everything, we get, taken up by the success, the dismissal of the cabinet, the withdrawal of the finance bill, and we forget to remember that people have paid with their lives and limbs for us to be where we are today, and they must never be forgotten. In a number of instances, some were even, approached. I remember we were at the burial of David Chege, and the police officers were there. And we had just gone there to drape the coffin with the flag and to give another flag to the family. And the propaganda that was going around was that this is supposed to be for the KDF only, this, the flagging of the coffins and everything. And they were told that if you bury your person with the flag, the government will later come, to exhume and get the flag. So there are things that are being said out there that are completely out of line. And I think it's important for us, and we were discussing, to remind Kenyans that this is an opportunity. We are supposed to be extremely lucky and, honored to be living in these times. Because no other generation, this moment has never been there. So what we need to do is to continue encouraging each other and pushing each other forward. I think it was Kindiki who said that, the financiers, fellow criminals, power! Fellow criminals, power! And I remember they were threatening us, I don't know who the financiers, the organizers, the planners, you will face the consequences. Well, guess what? Hatutishiki, sindio? Nani ameanguka, sini wao ameanguka. So we are saying, this is a moment, and each and every one of us can play a role. The question that we need to ask, what are you doing to bring forward this change?
Okay, Hussein, I'd like to come back to you shortly, but I want to get to Gloria first on the question of the flags and the killings and those who lost the limbs. But Gloria, on the question of people getting arrested for protesting, I remember seeing the first day or the Tuesday, droves and droves of people getting picked up and being put, in police vehicles, carted away to police stations. I want you to talk to me about this moment, about what does that moment mean legally, and what was the violation with that moment, and why do we keep seeing it?
Thank you so much, Alan, for that. And I would like to say that the Law Society of Kenya has, that day, it was a sad day for us, because that Tuesday, what happened was we had gone for a memorial for Honorable Monica, who was killed in the hands of the police. And we were called and we were told, we even had not set up the toll-free line for people to call advocates, and we were called that there are some advocates who have been arrested and they're in Central Police Station. And we asked ourselves the pertinent question. That time I remember we were with Steve and Tess, and we asked ourselves the question, why are we going to release only lawyers while people who have been peacefully demonstrating have been arrested? And I think we had a discussion with the president, and she said, yes, let's go bail them out. And I remember when going there, we didn't expect what we saw on that day. So we went to the police station, and we actually asked to be given the list of the people who have been arrested and their charges. And I remember it was a back and forth, and now lawyers from certain groups were called, come, let's release these people. And actually when they saw lawyers there, they saw us as a threat, because we are going to release the people who have been causing trouble, quote unquote trouble to them. So when we went there, we tried talking, they tried calling the president and saying, just tell your people to go till 6 p.m. And we asked them, why till 6 p.m.? Has the law been suspended till 6 p.m. that we can only release people after 6 p.m.? And when we demanded to stay with the people who have been arrested in the police station, they threw tear gas at us. I remember even one of our council members, Otto, they threw a canister, the tear gas canister, at her. So the lawyers have been really harassed in this whole process. We saw even the other day in Nanyuki, where they had gone to actually take, because this guy, I think Lewis, they were looking for Lewis and they were harassing him, going to his home, banging his door, and they decided, okay, let's take him to the police station. And when they went, they were all chased away. Lawyers were chased away and they were told, no, we want to speak to Lewis alone. And they said no. And it became a commotion. And they started beating the lawyers and chasing them out of the police station. So what does it mean? It is very lawful, especially for what had been happening in the first times of the demonstration, where people were coming out peacefully. They are just with their water bottles, they are just singing, chanting, and they were not causing any kind of fracas. And I think the government had not seen such kind of a thing. They thought everything will be organized, will be uniform, but when they saw large numbers coming and they were wondering, how can we contain these numbers? Because they thought it will just be like the normal ones, and by 2 p.m. they're at home, or 3 they're at home. So I think we need to defend the Constitution, and we are saying peaceful protesters. And that is the case we have seen all through. Peaceful protesters are being arrested, and that is what we are standing for. That you cannot just be arrested for exercising your right.
Right.
Yeah.
Irungu, to keep up on this space, the police not only threw tear gas, but they were shooting live ammunition, rubber bullets, beating up protesters. But most importantly, we also saw police without uniform, completely face covered up, somehow mingling with the protesters, and they would arrest, shoot, and perhaps some of those abductions happen in these moments. I want to ask you about what should the police be doing during protests, and what we just went through, just how illegal this whole is, and what can we do anything about it, or it's just a matter of, well, we reflect and then say, well, that's something bad has really happened, we need to move on.
So the illegalities in terms of policing that we saw over the last month or so did not start then. I think we have to go back to 2023, we have to go back to 2017, and we have to ask, why is it in a point where the state is being challenged on the basis of corruption, on the basis of inequality, on the basis of impunity? Why does the state respond so violently to peaceful protest? And as Amnesty International, we monitored with the Kenya Medical Association and Law Society, and of course many organizations here under the auspices of the Police Reforms Working Group, and we saw the pattern of policing essentially was to destroy the possibility of a peaceful protest. How that starts is commanding officers failing to accept letters of notification. The second thing that happens is you arrest anybody you suspect to be an organizer. Now, what is a protest organizer? A protest organizer is also a marshal. It is the person who makes sure that when we write a letter to the OCS and we say, we are going to move from this point to this point, we are going to approach this government office, and we are going to hand over a petition here. That is the person that controls the crowds. So once you take those two quick actions, you immediately send a protest into confusion. And we have said this so many times to commanding officers, to the more senior police officers, that as soon as you disrupt that process, you have thrown a peaceful protest into something that is not provided for within Article 37. The second stage is to have police officers coming like criminals, either in balaclavas or without identification, or with vehicles that have 4 or 5 license plates, and they embed themselves. They pretend to be protesters in order to arrest protesters, or they pretend to be journalists in order to arrest journalists, or they tear gas medical officers. This is what we saw this time, where we set up pop-up emergency clinics, essentially for medics, volunteers, not even paid by government, to basically provide treatment, not just to protesters, but to bystanders and also police officers, let's not forget. And what happens is you tear gas them, you arrest people like Brandon, you then seize their medical records so that they can't even follow up with patients. And then the question is, for me, is actually who is behaving as if this is a riot? Who is providing the riotous activity? Who are the criminals that need to be prosecuted? So to end this point, I think there are many things that we need to do. We need to crowdsource, identify those officers. We need to bring cases against those particular officers individually, plus their commanding officers, to ensure that they are held accountable, not just for the deaths, not just for the injuries that Hussein has spoken about, but even for the violation of the right to protest and the right to expression. The previous panel spoke about the horror of having people coming to collect them in the middle of the night. That also needs to be prosecuted, because the freedom of expression is what makes us human beings. It is not just that the Constitution protects it, but you are not a human being if you cannot think independently, if you cannot articulate yourself, and if you cannot take action in order to protect a Constitution that we all voted for.
Okay, right. So I want to go back to the point about, and we sort of systematically talk about not just the people, but the role of the flag, as you had brought it up. And my question is this: who owns the Kenyan flag?
Hiyo ni swali rahisi sana. Kenyan flag belongs to the people of Kenya. It's not a government item. It's not. It's ours. When you talk of black, it's us. It's the color of our skin. When you talk of red, it's the blood shed, and we continue to shed to this moment, to this very day. And green is our land, you know. So I mean, I find it absurd for anyone to even imagine or to tell us that you can't do this. This is a preserve of a few individuals, only the leaders. These are today's Mau-Maus. When you are Mekufa, we are seated here today having this conversation here to Fungamano in their honor, because they died so that we can be here today. And one thing I want to communicate is that even with the families that we have been going to, you know, you can see that, you know, that resolve and that pride that they have. When you go there with the flag and you're draping the flag over the coffin, and they say, wow, our son did not die for nothing. He didn't just die like that. He died truly fighting for this country. And when you go to the family, when you're handing over the flag, you can actually feel, you know, everyone there holding the mother, the father, the family in pride. So, wasitutishe hiyo tunawaambia, you know, anyone we need to hang. In other countries, people hang these flowers in their backyards. They are there on their doors. And here we are being told that if you display the flag or if you put it sijui, it's an offense. My foot, I mean, we can't have that. Wasitutishie, this is our country, and that is why we need to reclaim. For me, I'm a grassroots person. I'm not much of a talker, but you know, everyone, this is the time. Hakuna kitu yenye hatuwezi fanya. Hata kama kila mtu anataka ice cream, sasa tunaenda tunaambia serikali hiyo tax, nunulia kila mtu ice cream. I mean, you can't tell us anything. So not just the flag, everything, even the emblem. Ukitaka kuvaa kofia uweke nini, it is yours. So hiyo mambo ya kutishana, that fear is gone. When we lose our fear, thank you very much.
Gloria, same question. What is this problem with flag, and why do we have this sense of belief, and especially the security forces and the guys who run government, that they own this item, exclusively theirs?
Sorry?
They think they own this item. It's a government product.
One, we need to remember it's a symbol of this country. And if it was illegal, I think I'll be the first one in this place, kushikwa.
Some illegalities,
I have used it, yes, I have used it as a lesson, but not necessarily, but showing my patriotism to this country. we walk around with the bracelets, the Kenyan bracelets, but it has never been a problem. Everyone in the UK, you can identify a Kenyan from one when you just see that bracelet. But right now, when we are using it at this time, it becomes a problem. Then I think we are not the problem; they are the problem, and I think they should deal with it. And this is just speaking because we see people putting the flags on their cars. Right now, they're even ashamed of putting those flags in their cars because we will flag them that tutaanguka now. So I think it is not a problem right now. And carrying your flag is patriotism. They did it very proudly, and now we are the ones saying we the people are taking it proudly, and we are carrying our flags, and let them know that we have the power in our hands. And I think one of them, the symbol is our flag.
Irungu, same question, and I will come to the audience to get some reactions to it, and also we are doing this on Space and live on NTV as well, so we'll go to that to get your comments, and this is our conversation of Irungu, the same question really about this piece of item, the flag.
Let me step back and then come back to the flag. So in a crisis, all nations have three choices. The first is to twist towards constitutionalism, the second is to twist towards authoritarianism, and then the third choice is anarchy. Now what this movement has done has twisted towards constitutionalism. In constitutionalism, there are things that are non-negotiable. One of the non-negotiables is the Constitution, that all our actions, all our thoughts are captured in that place that we call a Bill of Rights. And it is clear to me when I saw those crowds marching with constitutions and police officers without a single constitution among them, but with batons, I began to see the righteousness of what was happening on our streets. Consider that in a context where the state wants to disenfranchise you, the first thing it will do is it will tell you there are certain symbols of patriotism, of nationhood that do not belong to you. The flag does not belong to you. It is okay if you don't take a voter's card, or you lose your ID and don't bother to get another one, or you don't volunteer in a school clinic, in a school nearby you, or you do not volunteer in a clinic to oversee a public resource that keeps our people safe and dignified, or you don't volunteer at all. That is what a state tries to do, to remove that section in the Constitution that has expressed itself so loud in the last 3 weeks, and that is Article 1. If you do not seize this moment, not just as I think it was the president who spoke about this. If we do not seek this moment, if we do not grab this moment as a moment for the third liberation, then we are going to squander this moment more generally. So I would say to those cabinet secretaries that are waiting, that are lobbying, and perhaps if they follow the same route that they took in 2027 and 22, that are beginning to put money together to buy a cabinet secretary seat, if they do not come with new ways of working, then consider they have come to reap where they did not sow. And they are coming essentially not to build on this constitutional movement, but to take us back to a place that we did not want to do. So wear your flag. If necessary, have a flag, have an outfit made from the flag, and let's walk around with underwear, trousers, t-shirts, and jackets.
Okay, great. Let's get a reaction from Space. I think Masika is online. Masika, could you tell us what your reflections of this protest were? And then I will come to the audience here to get their reflections as well.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. I hope I'm audible enough.
You're great.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that we are having the Citizen Assembly, and one of the key things that we note clearly is that things have changed, times have changed. We are no longer in the olden days. I was listening that bit on the police and the police upholding the law, and maybe one of the things that the LSK can be helping us to know, because I think the police are enforcing the law, but they don't know the law. Because when you ask a police officer why they are arresting you, some of them clearly do not know even the procedure of arresting, whether you're a criminal or a suspect or something like that. Do they have it in their curriculum? Because these guys go in the training camps to do martial arts, to do work on how to use batons to beat up people. But when you ask a police officer to uphold the law when they are arresting you, do they have the knowledge of applying that law? So for me, that has been a question, because the problem with the police begins at the time of recruitment, because you look at even the people that the recruiters are looking for, then you clearly know that is where the rain starts beating us. Me personally, I did very well in O level, and I wanted to join the police, but I was removed from the line because I was told that I needed to go to university and study. But I needed to become a police officer, whether I started as a serviceman and then later on be promoted, but they refused because of my grade in Form 4. So one of the things that we need to push, even as right now, because our voices are being heard, and this is how it's going to be, can we have anybody, even if I got an A in Form 4 and I want to become a police